And we're back at the Crystal Clear Point Studios. I'm cold. I may have to get up and get a blanket. I'm in my office, which is also my converted garage, and it gets, when it's really down in the 20s, it gets cold in here, even with my little fireplace going. So, hello, I'm Deborah Colleen Rose. That's Luann Morris, better known
Hi.
as Herbal. And we're talking again, and we're doing Herb Talk, Herb Talk with Herbal Lou. And today we're doing what?
Well, for this episode, it is ginger.
So let me do our disclaimer. I'm gonna try and do it in 2 breaths. You ready? This is like my new challenge. The products and statements made about specific products have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided or any information contained or in any product label or packaging is for the informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information given for diagnosis or treatment of any health problems. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamin supplements, diet, or exercise program, before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. I didn't make it in 2 breaths.
Well, it was the part,
I know. Well, it's because I took a little short breath instead of a deep one. I knew I'd screwed it up. Oh well.
Okay.
So here we go.
Ginger, Zingiber officinale, genus and species. It's a flowering plant whose rhizome or root is widely used as spice or folk medicine. It's a cousin of turmeric and cardamom. One of the first spices to be exported from Asia. It was carried by the spice trade to Europe, along with pepper, cloves, and other spices. They carried it on ships because it is high in vitamin C and prevented scurvy, and it was easy to preserve in just water. It's cultivated all over the world, especially in India, China, Nigeria, Nepal, Indonesia, and Thailand. Ginger rhizomes or root are harvested at full maturity at 8 to 10 months. It must be washed, soaked overnight, and rubbed well for cleaning because it grows in the ground. The outer skin must be scraped off by hand using whatever means necessary, but this particular one uses a wooden knife because it's too delicate to be done by hand. Ginger is one of the most popular spices used in the world. It's used for vegetables. It's used for candy, soda, pickles. They use it for alcoholic beverages, wine, tea. It's great in fish, seafood, meat, and vegetable. Ginger 6 times more fresh than ground or dried. In other words, if you're using the fresh ginger root, you should use more because the dried or the ground is concentrated. When the water evaporates, the flavors are concentrated in the ginger, which goes for any root or, any dried herb. When they're
really
dry,
it would be the other way around, that the fresh would be more.
No, because the components or the chemicals concentrate when it dries or dehydrates.
I know, but we're kind of brainwashed. It's like, eat raw vegetables instead of cook because they have more vitamins that way.
Well, that is true because the vitamins can be broken down by boiling or by heat. So yes, that is true. But when you just lay out the herb to be dried in the air, it's a different situation. So let's see. Ginger ale, ginger beer, ginger bread, ginger cookies, cakes, crackers. I always recommend a little crystallized ginger or candied ginger if somebody's having intestinal distress or stomach stress. because it can really, it's very pungent, and it feels hot in your mouth and in your throat when you chew it. But if you will chew it and swallow it, follow it with a little water, it will help ease your stomach ache.
Or you can just drink ginger ale.
Yes, yes.
And if you have a cough, you can put bourbon in there and it takes care of both of them.
No, alcohol's not good for your stomach.
It's good for your cough.
In reasonable quantities, ginger has no side effects. It does interact with some medications, including warfarin, which is an anticoagulant, and there's a cardiovascular drug, nifedipine, the brand name is Adalat, aspirin, antiplatelet agents, hematological agents. If you take Plavix, you probably shouldn't eat a lot of ginger because that's an antiplatelet agent. So it interacts with the ginger and causes your medications not to work as well. So, as we all say, time and time again, check with your physician and be sure that you double check what medications you're taking, and would the ginger affect or interfere with your medications. I don't know how many times we've said that, but 101 probably. If you're allergic to ginger, the most common reaction is a rash. So if you make a ginger tea or drink ginger beer and you have a rash, you can pretty much blame it on the ginger. The bioactive component of ginger is called gingerol. This is the pungent ingredient that is believed to exert a variety of remarkable pharmacological and physiological activities in the body. Ginger's been used for thousands of years to treat colds, nausea, arthritis, migraines, and hypertension. I use ginger in my elderberry syrup. It helps with your throat when you have that cold or flu, and then it kind of warms up your body as your body processes the ginger, which is usually a problem when you have a cold. All right, if you have a cold.
I find it really hot. I mean, I find ginger extremely, extremely hot.
Right. It feels the same way to me, but I don't put enough ginger in my elderberry syrup that when you swallow it, it would have the same effect, but it does have enough effect on your stomach, the amount of ginger I put in there. Right. And I usually use fresh ginger, fresh grated ginger. So if you have a cold, I suggest a tea. Take a pint of water, that's 2 tablespoons of grated ginger, that would be fresh, a cinnamon stick, a tablespoon of honey, and you want to boil that for about 10 minutes. Then you strain it and you can drink it all day long. And it's really good to help combat with those cold symptoms, along with your elderberry syrup.
It's like if I'm taking my elderberry syrup, why do I need ginger tea?
Because it will help alleviate the severity of the symptoms you have with a cold. The throat, the sinus, it really opens up the sinuses. So the other thing is to clear the nose and sinus. This is not to be taken internally. You take a bowl and put hot water in it. 2 drops of ginger oil, 2 drops of eucalyptus oil, and you breathe in the steam. You can even cover your head with a towel, and so the steam is concentrated just in your face, and that helps loosen up your nose and your sinuses to help you breathe better. You can make a ginger syrup, like 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of ginger, a tablespoon of lemon, add 8 ounces of boiling water, and just reduce that by about half. You want to concentrate it, and it can give you relief. Just take a couple of tablespoons a day, 3 times a day. All of this helps with colds, flus, allergies. Ginger is really great for gastrointestinal upset, and I recommend it for women who are pregnant. I know that they do have some over-the-counter things that pregnant women can use now. You know, in the past, it's been really difficult for pregnant women to find things to take for their nausea because it can cause birth defects, but ginger is not one of those. And you can either use the crystallized version, or you can use it in a tea and sip on it all day or all morning or whenever your nausea is. It also helps with the nausea that comes with chemotherapy or post-op nausea. You can take the tea, the syrup, the crystallized, a cookie. You know, ginger snaps, they're very good for that. I had a friend who was going through chemotherapy, and he got a big container of ginger snaps. The only caveat in that is that you cannot eat unlimited amount of ginger snaps, or then you have diarrhea. I think it's the molasses in the ginger snap. So ginger, it has anti-inflammatory properties and can help with arthritis. It's the gingerol, the shogal, and the zingerone. Those are the chemicals inside the ginger that helps reduce the inflammation in your body. In rheumatoid arthritis, it is used to help reduce the inflammation in the synovial joints. That's all the joints like knees, elbows, finger joints. They have what's called synovial fluid. And rheumatoid arthritis affects the synovial joints, and this can truly help with the inflammation that occurs there. Do you have any kind of arthritis with stiff hands? I would try the ginger. You can use it in any form. If you can't tolerate the crystallized ginger, or you can try ginger capsules, and that can also help with the inflammation.
I have to admit, I'm not a fan of ginger as far as the crystallized ginger and all that. I do love ginger snaps though.
I think crystallized ginger, I use it strictly as a medicine. A lot of people like it. They like hot things, and they just eat it. They just eat it, you know.
Yeah, my husband is one of those.
I strictly use the crystallized ginger because when you put it in your mouth, the first thing you taste is the sugar on the outside of the ginger, and it's not until you start chewing it. So it kind of gives you first, you're reinforced with, oh, that tastes good, but so I chew it quickly.
It's a liar. It's a liar. It tricks you into liking it, and then it shows its real core.
But the gingerol is what causes the heat in the ginger, and that's what you want. You want that yes, you do.
I don't want that.
We'll have to give you capsules then.
I'll just drink ginger ale or ginger beer.
Well, when I have an upset stomach, I'm willing to go through that small amount of heat that takes place when I swallow it down, follow it with some water or some hot tea, because it does make my stomach feel so much better.
I don't ever get an upset stomach. That's not an issue for me.
Well,
I think my brain has told myself, if you have that, you have to eat ginger, so don't get it.
that's terrible, because ginger is just so good for you. And I just love it. I have there's a tea called Constant Comment, that is kind of orange and spicy. And I put my turmeric and my ginger root in it when I'm, if I need some extra pain relief or anti-inflammatory relief. That's how I do. That's how I use it with a tea. So there's a couple of studies here about migraines. There's a migraine medication called ketoprofen, and they actually put 400 milligrams of ginger in the protocol. And the people who got the ginger and the ketoprofen actually had faster relief than those that did not get the ginger. I found that interesting. And that was a human study.
That's because they didn't want to have to take it again. So they convinced themselves, I have to get better now because I never want to take that ever again.
Well, it was probably administered in capsules, 400 milligrams. They knew exactly how many milligrams was in it, and it was probably in a capsule form.
They had to give me an IV or a shot in my butt.
So another study in 2014, and oh my gosh, this was a human study too. Why? Because people get migraines, and it's hard to be subjective if you think does an animal have a migraine? How do you tell? So you have to use humans for these studies. I'm sorry, my allergies killing me today. So part of the people got ginger and part of the people got a prescription, and that it decreased the effects of the migraine just as well as the prescription did. And this particular prescription was triptan.
You know what I find amazing about the lack of human testing is that they didn't have any hesitancy to test LSD and acid and heroin on people back in the 50s and 60s. In fact, they would pay college students, come in, take a nap, let us shoot you up. No problem at all with doing that. But boy, talk about giving them a little bit of an herb. Oh God, no, we got to make sure.
Well, I think that's more a modern occurrence than it was in the 50s or 60s. But at that time, we were testing drugs, not herbs. And so if we had the ability to do the testing on herbs, or if it had occurred to someone that testing the herbs, it could have occurred in the 50s and 60s when there were not so many regulations. But now the FDA, you have to go through a particular protocol, and they have to approve the protocol for you to write your scientific paper. And
don't you wonder though about the young people that are in charge, the younger people that are in charge now, like in their 30s and 40s? How many of their parents went through those LSD trials? How that might have
exactly. I probably most of the people that went through those trials were 75 plus now.
Yeah.
Because it had pretty much stopped by the time I was graduated from high school.
Yeah, I would love to see what happened to the next generations. Say this person went through this trial, and then they had children, and this is the outcome of their children. Were they successful? Were they not? Did they have any physical problems? Did they have
There's
any
probably somebody out there who's done it.
I know the CIA's got that information. We should write and ask for that study.
No, I don't care to do that. So
I've been cooped up too long. The ice needs to go.
Okay, there was another research done where they tested feverfew, which is an herb, plus ginger, and they put it under the tongue when the migraine first started, and it seemed to really reduce the symptoms and duration of the migraine.
Do they know why?
Because of the active ingredients in the ginger and the feverfew. And don't ask me what feverfew active ingredients is because
that's what I was asking. So never mind.
No, it's the gingerol, and perhaps what was the other thing? Sure, Sojal, SHOGOAL, Sojal. Soja, I can't pronounce it. Don't ask me. I can tell you all day long, I just can't pronounce it. So most of these studies used capsules and gels. They didn't use the fresh ginger. So there was another study how it helped diabetes. It was a very small study, so it was something that was like passed over because a small study done, they were given 2 grams of ginger every day, and it seemed to lower their fasting blood sugar by 12% and dramatically improve their A1C, which is an indication of how much sugar you've used in the last 3 months and how your
So
body.
what do they do with this information once they do these studies, though? I mean, why is it there like this huge movement to start packaging and marketing this?
Because they want to do it. But it's like the study's done and then they just drop it. They report all their findings, and most of these people are research people trying to get their research funded, or but they it never goes past that. It's like they can't. It's either not profitable, or they give you this information and you do with it what you will.
I smell a conspiracy.
Well, it's big pharma, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They did another study where they used ginger powder once a day, 1.5 grams, 3 days before period starts, and it seemed to ease the period pain. So that would be something that I would be willing to try if you have period pain. If you know when your period is going to start, you would start the 1.5 grams 3 days before, and then take it every day until menses is complete.
I never had that either.
No, I didn't either.
I
So
never had either.
supposedly it lowers your cholesterol. And it's said to, if you take 5 grams a day for 3 months, that it will lower your bad cholesterol or LDL cholesterol by 30 points.
Wow, that's a lot.
That is a lot. So it would be worth experimenting with that if you're having difficulty with your LDLs. Of course, the other thing to increase your HDLs and bring the balance of HDLs and LDLs into perspective is walking. It's exercising. You can increase your HDLs, which is the good cholesterol, and it kind of it balances out the LDLs. We call them low down lipids. That's not the name of it, but it's a mnemonic. It's a mnemonic. So high density lipids and low density lipids.
I actually love to walk. It's just that I've had so much lower back pain for the past 20 years. Walking has just become a drudgery.
Something you don't do.
Yeah, because it's just, it's just exhausting. So are you sending me that theta healing for my hip?
Really? Yes.
Yeah. It's helping.
So there's tons and tons of more information about ginger. It just seems to really help with inflammation, and it could help with inflammation even if you're taking it in a tea. It can help with inflammation in your vessels, inflammation in your body.
But if you're doing the crystallized ginger, because there are some people that enjoy it and they're eating it like candy, can they overdo it?
Oh yeah, you can overdo anything. If it causes you to feel nauseous instead of cures your nausea, then you're overdoing it.
Okay.
There's a balance there. Just take a small amount. How is your nausea? Maybe take it, because I take the crystallized ginger. I think it's easier to hurt your stomach with the ginger snaps because they kind of taste good. There's no hot, that heat that comes with the fresh ginger doesn't come with the ginger snap.
See, I think ginger snaps are hot.
Oh, you do?
They're not. Yeah, it's not like going and eating, nachos, but I mean, there's definitely a heat there. I think I'm just real sensitive to it, I guess.
I just think it's easier just to eat the ginger snaps one right after the other, and that can cause more distress than just one little piece of crystallized or candied ginger. So that's just my opinion, though.
Well,
I'm
and
just
you're very
saying
smart, so I trust your opinion.
the ginger snaps are small and they're thin. And so people can get into the, oh, I'll just have a couple more. Oh, I'll just have a couple of more. And pretty soon what you have is intestinal distress and diarrhea.
And then you got to get Pepto-Bismol. I hate those commercials.
So don't replace one miracle with another. I mean, use your brain and really take use 3 or 4 ginger snaps and then see how wait. How do you feel? Does it help?
Common sense.
Okay, there is a website called the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, nccih.nih.gov, and they have a lot of information for alternative and complementary treatments. And there is actually a cancer center, American Cancer Center, in one's in Oklahoma, and they integrate herbals with your chemotherapy.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know which ones they use?
I do not, but they do their best to balance the chemotherapy and herbs and things that will help palliatively and things that also help the tumors, like the ashwagandha is supposed to actually stop tumor cell growth. I don't know that they use that, but they're constantly experimenting with other herbals preparations like that. But they do not discontinue the chemotherapy. They use it in addition to.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. So, I think probably all of us are very familiar with ginger and we use it in cooking, but it can really help with inflammation in your body and help reduce your blood pressure. And these are the things we need to take away from that. And if you use ginger, and there's some cultures that use it in their food more than we do in America. Our American culture doesn't use a lot of ginger, but Indian food and Asian, China, those foods have lots of ginger in them. So that would be my recommendation, to putting it in your food first, or using the candied ginger, or if that bothers you, then the capsules.
Good advice.
It's
I got fun trivia about ginger.
You what?
Fun trivia.
Okay, what is it?
Do you know why redheads are called ginger?
Mm-mm.
There's 2 possible reasons. One, the Malaysian ginger plant has a beautiful, bright, fiery red flower.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that they're called gingers because of the red flower on the plant, or it could be because the root has that brown flecked looking texture and skin, and that is indicative of a freckled, redheaded person with their skin.
I thought it was because of their fiery personalities that go with the heat of the ginger.
Well, we're not going to talk about my sex life now. But I just, because I was wondering why are they called gingers? Because you think of the root when you think of ginger, and
Right.
that's not red, So I
No,
looked
but
it up.
flower, there are a lot of flowers. The one I grew, the ginger that I grew had white flowers, but so there's all.
It's the Malaysian ginger.
Yes.
Malaysian.
Yeah.
You have
So
to have the right plant.
I'm saying give it a try.
Yep.
I keep candied ginger in my pantry. I use it as medicine for my stomach.
Good job. Good
Okay.
job. All right, so tell people where they can ask you questions or buy products or whatever.
They can go to my website, herbal-lu.com. That's HERBAL-LU.com. You can email me at herballu1105, HERBALLU1105 at gmail.com. I also have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/herballu. And you should be able to ask questions there. It should be an open public page there. You can make appointments with me on that page. Or just send me an email if you have a question. I'll be glad to answer it.
Or call me and I'll give you her phone number.
A personal reference. There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, say goodbye to everybody. And
Goodbye.
you know what we're going to be talking about next?
We're going to talk about lemon balm.
Okay. I'll
All
see
right.
you soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye.